Hi students, this is Jamie Van Beek, and I've created this short podcast to describe the assignment called Name That Cardiovascular System Disease or Disorder. This assignment is going to carry on throughout the quarter for different systems that we are studying. And the purpose of this assignment, there's a couple different purposes. The first one is to help you when you're reading through the material. How do you take this information and put it in terms of how a patient will present, how a patient will look that has these disorders and diseases? What will be the signs and symptoms? How will they look as you are working with them in the clinic or in a skilled nursing facility or in the hospital as a physical therapist assistant? So this assignment I created is to help you look at the information and then apply it to a patient, apply it to real life. The second purpose of this assignment is to create some interaction between students to students, because we interact with the South Labs and the North Labs when we're at the labs, but how do we create some interaction on our course online as we're working together? And I think this is a fun way to interact with each other. And this assignment is going to build, and I'll explain how that's going to work. But the two purposes, like I said, are one, to help you think about how these patients would present in the clinic, and number two, to have some interaction between student to student. And then I'll be here as well online. The patient description. So the first thing you're going to do is there will be a list of different pathologies, disorders, diseases of the system that we are studying. And for instance, the first system that we're studying is the cardiovascular system. And you're going to create a patient description of what a patient would look like or present like if they had one of these disorders or diseases. And so this information is in your textbook, as well as you could also go to other resources online, but I want you to first start with your textbook. And so I created this one just a few minutes ago. Nothing fancy here. I wrote it. I gave her a name. Sue is a 65-year-old woman who's been a smoker for the last 15 years. She works in a high-stress occupation, has had uncontrolled hypertension over a prolonged period of time, and takes very poor care of her health and diet. These are the signs and symptoms that she is exhibiting. She's having edema in her legs when she puts them in a dependent position. So when she's sitting at her desk and her legs are lower than her heart, they are swelling. She's complaining of feeling and looking bloated in her abdomen. She's feeling like she looks bloated, like she looks puffy in her abdominal region. She's tired, she's weak, she's having some difficulty with breathing. She's really is not able to tolerate any type of exercise. She really can't get her heart rate up at all without feeling terrible. She's complaining of having some headaches, some flushing of redness in her face. She's even noted that she feels like the veins in her neck are protruding. They're sticking out more than they used to. She also talked about how she has these small periods of visual disturbances where her vision gets kind of blurry for a little bit. It's not consistent. It doesn't stay, but it's just small periods of these. She's having a lot of just having to urinate a lot during the day, but she's denying that she has any kind of a cough, and her lungs sound clear at right now. They sound clear. So notice how I wrote a description and I gave some signs and symptoms. Okay, for this assignment, I'm going to now post this on the discussion board. We'll pretend I'm a student. I'm a student and I've written this and I'm going to post it on the discussion board. And the questions that need to be answered are, what cardiovascular disease or disorder do you believe Sue is experiencing? Explain in detail why you believe that this is the disease and disorder that you've chosen. What page did you find this in your book, the edition and the page? Then you're going to post a video clip of one of the following, either a patient story who has this particular disease or disorder, or an instructional video explaining this disease or disorder, or you can even make a video of yourself explaining this disease and disorder. So if we go back to this and you saw this posted, what do you think is wrong with her? So after you've read the chapter and you've looked through, you can hopefully pick it out quite quickly. She has congestive heart failure. But I didn't want just congestive heart failure. I wanted you to think about which side. Is this left-sided congestive heart failure or right-sided congestive heart failure? So if you have, I'm just going to talk about the 5th edition right now, but if you have the 5th edition of the textbook and you open to page 249, you'll see a graph there. And you'll see it's comparing the causes, the basic effects, the signs and symptoms, and of the left-sided congestive heart failure and the right-sided congestive heart failure. And as you look at that chart and you look at what I've written and the clues that I've given you, what do you think she has? All right, your guess is right. She's got right-sided congestive heart failure. So if I was a student and I was going to answer this, I would go and I would reply to the post and I would say in the subject line what I thought the disease was. So I thought the disease was right-sided congestive heart failure. So I'm going to write right-sided congestive heart failure. Then I'm going to answer these questions. I'm going to say what it is. I'm going to explain in detail why I believe it's this disorder. And I could go on and on right now and explain that to you, but I'm not. I'm just trying to give you an example of how this assignment's going to look. So I would explain in detail, then I would write the page that it came from, and then I would post a video clip and link that on my discussion post. And there are all sorts of video. I mean, if I typed in right-sided congestive heart failure, I could pull up multiple things, right? I could find a patient story. I could find an instructional video. I love the Khan Academy. That's why there's a lot of those in my courses. You could actually go to Khan Academy and you could put in the search window congestive heart failure and you could pull up a 7-minute animation that explains exactly what right-sided congestive heart failure is and why it happens in a patient. The other option is you can make a video of yourself explaining what is this disease and this disorder. And I will post another video explaining how to do that, but it's very easy to do that. And eventually that's going to be part of the assignment, is actually going to be making a video of yourself explaining this disease or disorder. So you will need a microphone, a small camera that connects onto your computer, but we won't need that right away. But as this assignment progresses, we will go to less of posting a link to something that you find on the internet to more of you creating a short video of yourself explaining the disease and the disorder. So that's how this is going to go, and I think it's going to be pretty fun. There'll be a list of disorders and diseases to choose from, and it just will go in response to how quickly it goes. So the quicker you guys start posting a patient, a scenario, a patient description, then the faster others will be able to come online and read through them and pick which one they think it is, and we'll go back and forth with some dialogue. Now I will put a post on the discussion board of this as an example, as both me being the student who put out the description, and then I will reply to it as if I'm the student then answering this and saying this is what I think it is and why, and here's the page number I found in the textbook, and here's the video link. Alright, if you have any questions on this assignment, please feel free to send me an email or give me a phone call in my office. Thanks so much.